Deep in the Pacific, there lies a small, forgotten atoll, an island steeped in history, where remnants of World War II still echo through the jungle. What if the past isn't as buried as we thought? Today, we set sail to explore a place where danger, mystery, and history collide. Could these relics from the war still pose a threat today? Join us, Kate, Curtis, and Roxy the dog, as we uncover unexpected and potentially deadly secrets hidden for decades. Are we in danger? Let's find out as we dive into the forgotten world of Wotje Island. Since we just finished a 23-hour sail, the first thing we want to do is dive on the anchor and make sure it is good and set, checking for any potential dangers or coral heads along the way. Funny enough, our stern was right next to an unmarked wreck, about a 60-foot boat from World War II. You can just make out the propeller.
Now that we've checked the anchor, it's time to check in. We're gonna go to town now.
All right, we got our papers, we got our money, and we got what else we need. That's it.
That's it.
All right, let's do this.
When visiting these Pacific Island nations, many of them are consisted of a multitude of atolls. It's required to check into the country at the primary island or islands first before you apply for permits to the outer atolls. Wotje happened to be our first stop on our tour of the remote nation. We headed to shore just next to the South Dock, where we heard the collector lives and would pay him the visitor's fee of $50. Afterwards, we would take our receipt and sign permit to the mayor to confirm our entry. On the way to him, it was already evident that World War II had left its mark on this small community. A short walk later, and we found the bank/post office along with the acting mayor inside. He informed us that we could go anywhere on the island, and collected our documents after we took a picture for our own records. Wotje has only about 800 residents and a handful of shops that sell staples like flour and rice. Other than that, there are no restaurants or dive shops, amusement parks or tours. There is simply coral and ocean, with a little bit of history sprinkled in to leave its mark. With the rest of the day ahead of us, we figured we'd walk down the one main road of the atoll and see what we could find.
These things are ancient, huh? Back from World War II. Okay, I'm not going to go all the way in this thing, I don't think, because this whole wall is leaning down. Like I could probably die right here if the wind blew the wrong way. But inside here is a huge diesel engine. So you can see that this thing is just hanging here off some old rebar. And one wrong move would probably kill me. Wow. This thing. So this place must have been the power generation plant during World War II for the Japanese. Kate's getting daring enough to come in here. But these are some huge, huge diesel engines. So this has to be the power plant. But we must have bombed it. What do you think?
Something.
Bomb hole? And in here, look at, you can still see the connecting rods.
Find any Japanese words yet?
No. I wonder if these were the compressed air tanks used to start the engines? Wow, this is pretty cool, guys. These are old pistons. So these were the pistons, I'm guessing, that go inside these engines. And then look at this. This is the connecting rod right here and a piston. So my guess is these are probably spares that get pulled out or cycled through. They'd have extra here to be able to rebuild these engines. Really cool.
We began walking down the one road of Wotje, most likely old concrete poured for the seaplanes that often landed here during Japanese occupation in World War II. We weren't sure what we would find, but figured we would come across something interesting on the small island. As we walked down the road, we stumbled across a group of local kids who were walking home from school. Shy at first, they hesitated when we approached, but soon enough, their curiosity got the best of them. These kids lived at the very end of the road in a small community of just 6 families. With a little encouragement, they offered to show us something special: the remnants of a forgotten past scattered throughout the jungle. One by one, they led us through the dense undergrowth, each stop revealing a new relic. Old Japanese bunkers, crumbling military buildings, and massive rusted cannons half buried in the earth, as if trying to escape the weight of history. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery was an unexploded bomb lying dormant in the forest, a chilling reminder of the island's violent past still waiting to be uncovered. The children pointed out strange holes or ponds in the ground, likely caused by falling bombs, not something you usually see on a coral atoll. At first the kids were reserved, barely speaking, but Curtis, ever the curious one, had an idea. He started asking them to teach him a few words in Marshallese, and slowly the barriers melted away. Their faces lit up, and before long they were laughing, talking, and eagerly guiding us from one relic to the next like old friends. It was as if Curtis had become their leader, and they followed him through the beaten paths of the forest, pointing out even the smallest forgotten pieces of history. By the end of the day, we found ourselves back at their small community, just a cluster of homes where families lived a simple, quiet life. The kids, full of energy from our adventure, immediately ran to a tall palm tree, climbing it with the ease of those who have grown up with nature as their playground. With joy in their eyes, they swung from a rope and into the ocean below, their laughter echoing across the water, a perfect end to an unforgettable journey through time. After the hot day hiking around the island, we grabbed a refreshing ice cream from a small shop, where the only flavor was vanilla. But Curtis had a little energy left in him, and hopped into a game of pickup basketball. In passing, we met one of the 4 police officers of Wotje, Mielsen, who was encouraged to join Curtis in the competitive game. Later, he invited us to his house where he gave us a bag of coconuts and regaled us with stories of growing up on the island. The island, once quiet and still, seemed to be holding its breath as the sky darkened. Then, like a sudden pulse of life, a supply ship appeared, its bright, luminous lights cutting through the night and casting an almost otherworldly glow across the sleepy harbor. The island, it seemed, had come alive. Small powerboats, each one packed with eager locals, formed a conga line heading from the shore to the supply boat. Singing and laughing, they eagerly loaded up with packages and goods that had been long awaited. It had been nearly 3 months since the last ship had come through, and tonight it felt like the entire island was celebrating this moment of connection, this lifeline to the outside world. Even as the sun rose the next morning, the boats continued to shuttle back and forth, often with packages blocking the view of the driver as they delivered supplies to every home and every family. It was a beautiful chaos, a reminder of how much we depend on each other, even in the most remote corners of the world. While the locals tore into their packages, we decided to take a break and dinghy to a nearby uninhabited island. It was the perfect escape. Just the 3 of us, Roxy, Curtis, and me.
And the weird water makes me a bit nervous.
We let Roxy run loose, her paws kicking up sand as she explored the untouched shore.
In Wotje, and it is just an absolutely gorgeous day. It's a bit windy, but that makes for a nicer, cooler day with this bright, hot sun. And we love coming out here because of the remoteness. We just found this little island with nobody on it, little sand spit all to ourselves, and that's why we're so glad to be here in the Marshall Islands. Let's keep exploring.
Throw it that way. Go.
Swimming in places, this stick like floated to it. Hey guys, I just found a bunch of shells and they're all moving around. I think the hermit crabs are having a little thrift sale and trading their shells, doing a little shell shift. Check it out.
Keep rocking out.
After beach time, we jumped in the water to check out a seaplane wreck lying submerged just off the seaplane ramp in about 40 feet of water. It's incredible to think that these waters were once filled with Japanese seaplanes, taking off and landing from the lagoon, their engines roaring across the calm sea. Now, this is something you can't find just anywhere. It's moments like this, when the world feels miles away and the only sounds are the waves and the wind, that make all those long, difficult sailing passages feel worth it. There's a certain peace that comes with solitude, a kind of tranquility you can only find in places like this. It's a rare gift to share such a moment together, just the 3 of us in this untouched corner of the world. As we were getting ready to push on again, we couldn't resist one last exploration of Wotje. This time we decided to head to the ocean side of the atoll, the side that faces the vast Pacific. What we found there was a continuation of the island's deep connection to World War II, a hidden chapter that still lingers in the sand and the surf.
So we're just walking along the beach and I see this little bit of rusty metal kind of sticking out from underneath a tree. So I went up and explored a little bit further, and this right here is what I just found. This is a huge old Japanese cannon. This was firing at, I'm guessing, American warships or American planes at some point in time, way back in the day. But pretty cool piece of history right here.
During World War II, the Japanese occupied Wotje as part of their strategic islands chain in the Pacific. Despite the eventual US victories, the fighting was brutal and costly. The Japanese defenders were often willing to fight to the death, and the US Marines and Army suffered significant casualties. The battles also caused widespread destruction to the islands themselves, with both the natural environment and the local Marshallese population caught in the crossfire. The Marshall Islands became a crucial strategic asset for the US following these battles. With the Japanese defensive network destroyed, the US used the islands as staging points for further operations in the Pacific, including the eventual invasion of Okinawa and the launch of air raids on the Japanese mainland. In the aftermath of the US victory in the Marshall Islands, the islands would come under US control, a situation that would persist long after the war's end. For the Marshallese people, however, the conflict left lasting scars. Many of them were forced to abandon their homes during the fighting, and in the post-war years they would face additional challenges due to the US military's nuclear testing in the region. Today, much of Wotje's World War II history is frozen in time. As we explore, we find remnants of the past: rusted Japanese naval artillery, abandoned bunkers swallowed by the jungle, and the eerie silence of old military buildings. These relics, once symbols of occupation and conflict, now stand as silent witnesses to the history that unfolded here, echoing stories of resilience, sacrifice, and the end of an era. Walking through the ruins, it's hard not to feel the weight of the past, as if the ghosts of history are still watching, their stories waiting to be uncovered.
Yeah.
Walking along the shoreline, it was hard not to be overwhelmed by the sense of time. How quickly the island has reclaimed its space, and yet how deeply the history remains embedded in its landscape. Wotje, like so many other Pacific islands, tells a story of conflict and survival. And as we explored, it felt as though the island was quietly sharing its past with us, piece by piece.
Tell us what words the kids, new words we have. Cat, small.
Cat is goich, I think, and that's the only one that I remember.
Oh, what was small again?
Oh, like rik, maybe?
Yeah, rik. Rik.
Small was rik, like ronga rik.
Yeah, rik.
And ronga lap. Lap is big, and rik is small.
That makes sense.
And that's why it's Iroj Lap Lap, because he's the big chief.
Ah.
That's why we have the language person. Ready? I'm gonna try to get it out of the wind. Okay. No, it's dead. It's dead.
Just throw, that's what I'm saying, just throw it. Here, throw it by that palm tree. Throw it hard that way. Go. All right, now we can talk.
Actually, into the wind.